Jalen, wie sagt man you auf Deutsch?
Man kann sagen du, dich, dir, sie, ihnen, ihr und euch.
Hä? Du, ihr, euch, ja, so viel nur für ein Wort? Hey everyone, today I'm back in Switzerland with my brother and our guest star Jalen, and we're going to talk about how we learn German, a really complicated language, in 1 year. When we came to Switzerland, I was in 3rd grade and Jalen was in 6th grade. When we went here, we didn't know any German. We were like Danke schön and that stuff. That's basically useless.
We're currently living in the city of Zurich, which is the biggest city in Switzerland, and we moved here about 2 years ago from Seattle, Washington.
So my family decided to send us to Swiss public schools instead of international schools where they speak English. A big advantage of going to Swiss public schools is that it's free and it's normally close to your house. Because we're at Zurich, the German-speaking part of Switzerland, that means we have to learn German and speak German. Everything you learn is obviously in German. So when we first went to Swiss public schools, not like they drop us into a class full of Swiss kids and good luck.
Instead, they put us in a special Aufnahmeklasse, which is an introduction class. So this is the school Max and I went to for the Aufnahmeklasse. We both were in classes about 10 kids, which is half the size of normal classes, which is around 20 kids.
So the number one rule about the Aufnahmeklasse is you can only speak German. So that made me feel if I can't speak any German, how am I going to communicate?
Even though my class was really small, luckily I found another kid in my class who spoke English and was from America. There were also a lot of other kids who came from the same home country in Africa, Eritrea, and they helped each other out too.
Luckily, I also met 2 friends that spoke English fluently, and one of them is a brother of Jalen's friend that he met.
What? Having a friend in your class who could also speak your language was really helpful in the beginning to make you not feel as alone. So typically, kids stay in the Aufnahmeklasse for around 9 to 12 months. This is based on how quickly they progress in learning German. The teacher will have a meeting with the parents and they will discuss if they think the kid's ready to move on to normal public school or if they need maybe a little bit longer.
So for the both of us, we were in the Aufnahmeklasse for 11 months until we could move on to the regular one.
The thing that helped me the most was repetition. Every morning, our teacher, Herr Gita, would ask us all, Was hast du gestern gemacht? Which means, what did you do yesterday? And then we would all take turns saying a couple of things we did yesterday in the past tense to practice that. And it helped us just get familiar with talking, practicing. Even if you didn't do anything special, Hejita would still force you to say at least something, even if it's just Ich habe gegessen, ich habe geschlafen, which means I ate and I slept.
So you do learn other stuff. For example, they still make you do gym, arts, and crafts. But mainly you learn German. You don't learn the super complicated stuff like science, and obviously not physics, because you need a lot of weird vocabulary. For now, we're going to learn the basics in German before we start that.
We also learned math, French, and English. French only after 5th grade. But since my math and English was so good, I just did only German, which really just helped me burst ahead. Some of my other classmates, their math was only 2nd grade math, even though they were maybe in 4th grade or something, because they stopped going to school after a certain point to maybe help the family or something. My real breakthrough moment in learning German was when my friend, like I mentioned before, who spoke English, had left because they graduated, and then I was left in a class full of people who only spoke German in their home language. So I made a new friend who only spoke German. He was from Eritrea, and then we just had to speak German to each other. I realized, like, oh, I actually can communicate in German. It was kind of like a double-bladed sword, me hanging out with an English-speaking person, because then we only really spoke English together, and it didn't push me to practice my German like all the time.
So my breakthrough moment was because like the day before this, I had like a really bad thing because I was not speaking German enough. So this basically gave me commitment to like try harder. So I was still talking with my English speaking friend, but I was always speaking in German, and we would like talk about topics that we thought were funny. And this like really encouraged me that.
My parents were really shocked when they found out for lunch Hort and after school Hort, it was a total of 70 francs a day. So the lunch was 30 francs and then after school was 40 francs. But my Aufnahmeklasse teacher really encouraged my parents to sign me up for this lunch Hort because it creates like repetition, and it's a time to socialize with other people, and also I learned a couple of phrases like "Kann ich bitte Wasser haben?" which means "Can I please have some water?" and stuff like that. And if you didn't speak German during lunchtime, there was actually a consequence. That consequence was you had to wait till after lunch, and then when all the dishes were done, they were super hot, and you would have to take a towel and dry them off and stack them all up so we could use them the next day.
So when I was in the States, since kindergarten, I was in a bilingual school which had Mandarin and English. So I did have some experience learning a foreign language. So when learning Chinese, you have to memorize all the characters, which is super annoying. But also in German, there's so many grammar rules, you have to remember those too. And you need to know what gender a noun is, for example. How am I supposed to know the gender of a game? Is it a male? Is it female? Or is it neutral? How are you supposed to know that?
German is such a hard language to learn that Mark Twain wrote a book about it called The Awful German Language. So this is a passage from the book. Every noun has a gender, and there is no censor system in the distribution, so the gender of each must be learned separately and by heart. In German, a young lady has no sex, while a turnip has. This is what a conversation would be like. Wilhelm, where is the turnip? Wilhelm, she has gone to the kitchen. Where's the accomplished and beautiful English maiden? It has gone to the opera. While in the US, I learned Chinese for 6 years at school. Now I've been learning German for a little over 2 years. So if I were to rate my German and Chinese skills on a scale of 1 to 10, I think my German is about maybe 8 out of 10, and my Chinese only a 5 out of 10. So if I were to go to Germany, I think I could just like communicate easily. I could get around, go to a restaurant, and speak German the whole time. But if I were in China, then I wouldn't do as well. I think the reason why there's such a big difference is because German, one, is a little bit easier because it uses the same alphabet as us. And also, I had to speak it every day. I'm still having to speak it every single day. Meanwhile, Chinese, yes, I learned at school, but we would all just speak English to each other anyways during the breaks and stuff. And then I never really had time to practice it outside of school. I'm totally glad that we got to go to public schools. I think it was a really cool experience learning a whole new language. I talked to my friends who went to international schools, and they've been here like longer than us, and their German isn't nowhere near as good as our German. And also, we got to meet local people, like we can hang out with Swiss friends. That's also pretty cool. And also, you don't have to pay the exorbitant prices for private school.
So I have 2 classmates that are in the same apartment building, so whenever I want to hang out with them, I can just ring on the doorbells and be like, hey, want to play or do something like that? But if I couldn't speak German, then there's no point, because I can't really communicate to them in English. I also like local schools because my mom told me from these years that we could have been going to international schools, we'll take that money and buy you a car in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned how we integrated into Swiss local schools. So don't forget to give me that thumbs up if you like the video, and don't forget to also click that subscribe bell ding. See you next time. Bye! So the number 1 rule in Aufnahmeklasse is you can own... Hey everyone, today I'm here again in Switzerland with my guest brother Jalen. And don't forget to click that thumbs up ding